A very good morning to you. It is the 31st day of July 2026, the very last day of this month. It has flown by so fast. It's a cold morning in Nairobi. I don't know how it is looking where you are, but we'll be taking a look at that later on as we continue with this broadcast. My name is Annie Odida. This is TV47 Breakfast. Karibu sana.
All right, Karibu sana. Odida says it is July 31st, and I'm
Yes.
like, oh, the year is done.
Yes.
What have you done for yourself? But
Yeah.
anyway, being a very cold July, we are here to make sure that you are updated as to what is happening across the world.
Yeah.
Na pia ni Friday.
Yes.
So tubambike kidogo.
Tutabambika, tutacheza, tutapiga dancing after State of the Nation, of course, starting 8 a.m.
Serious stuff, then we get to some
yeah.
lightening up. My name is
Kabisa.
Linda Lela. It's good to have you. Karibu sana, sitting in for Fred in Dimuli.
Of course, thank you so much for coming, Linda.
Thank
Today
you.
is World Ranger Day, and they say it helps raise money and awareness for the dangerous but crucial job that park rangers engage in to keep us and our beautiful natural surroundings safe. So celebrate rangers. If you see them, they're doing a very good job. So let's just celebrate them worldwide, especially in Kenya. You know, we host the Big Five. So it's quite important to acknowledge our rangers and the work that they do to protect our wildlife.
All right.
So
you know, sometimes we talk about rangers and it reminds me of primary schools, you know, scouts,
Yeah.
where you talk about rangers, rangers, but
Yeah.
you actually don't get to see or to
Yeah.
understand the critical aspect of it. When you have conversations with them, you realize sio mambo rahisi. And
So
therefore,
it
I
starts
agree.
back then,
Starts
from
back,
scouting.
from scouting and all
Yeah.
that, and the discipline and just managing, you know, because it's literally the forest.
Yeah.
So I think, like you rightfully say, ukiwaona uko, just salute.
Celebrate them. So do interact with us, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. It's TV47 Digital on X. Use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast, hashtag Story Ni Yetu. My handle is at Annie_Dida.
And mine is at Linda_Alela.
Let's take a look at the state of the weather.
Right.
All right, let's see how the weather's looking across the country. It's cold in Nairobi, but let's tell you in Vihiga, that's thunderstorms today, so it's definitely raining in Vihiga. 18 degrees this morning, highs of 26 degrees. It's also raining in Eldoret, 13 degrees this morning, highs of 23 degrees. It's a partly sunny day in Mandera, 25 degrees this morning, highs of 36 degrees. That's as far as Vihiga, Eldoret, and Mandera counties are concerned. Kisumu, it's a partly sunny day, 19 degrees this morning, highs of 29. Kiambu, there will be light rains expected there today. 14 degrees this morning, highs of 23 degrees. In Nairobi, I wonder why it's cold, because it's 15 degrees this morning, highs of 24 degrees today, but it's likely to rain today in Nairobi. And that's the state of the weather.
All right, and quotes will always remind us of the things that we need to do. And that's the reason why we always prepare one for you every morning, so that you get to know where you position yourself in life. So what's the quote of the day today?
Our mindset is often the greatest barrier to achieving our dreams. By changing the way we think and the narrative we tell ourselves, we open the door to incredible possibilities.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the local and regional dailies in depth.
Okay, here we go. The Daily Nation, the Standard newspaper, Business Daily, and we'll also be crossing borders where we have the Monitor and all that, and we also have the Star with us this morning. I think we start off by taking a look at what is captured on the front page of the Daily Nation. Definitely you'd expect that this would be the story that carries the day. Ruto's roadmap that is ahead of next year's general election, but it's just not about the next year's general election, but it's also about, you know, the next after 2030. What next for the nation? A year into the next general elections, the incumbent's record is under sharp scrutiny. We saw him giving us that State of the Nation address yesterday that, of course, was largely about making the nation a better nation. Another story that has been captured on the front page is Kalonzo Sifuna 2027 talks begin. Well, whether they are going to be deputy, that is Sifuna deputizing Kalonzo, or the other way around is a question of wait and see. But yes, we see political realignments left, right and center. And also a story that I see has been captured across other papers is the murder of Doctor, who was, of course, shot, while having boarded a taxi and, had earlier fled from a gunman. This is a story that has been captured on page 3 of the Daily Nation. We get to the details of it later on. But also interesting, remarks from an ex-minister who claims that president is too controlling. A story captured on page 8 of the Daily Nation. Odida?
All right, let's take a look at the back page of the Daily Nation. To know what's happening in the world of sports. Kenya moves closer to criminalizing match fixing. Right. They say that Sports Amendment Bill 2026 seeks to amend the Sports Act so as to tame the vice. The Sports Administration MPs call for tougher sanctions against match fixers. That is what has been captured on the back page of the Daily Nation. But let's take a look at what's on the front page of Taifa Leo, which is just a duplicate of what's on the front page of the Daily Nation. Ruto hatupati ng'o. Ni Azimio wanaita kwamba katika kikao cha wanahabari akiwa pamoja na Sifuna jana, Kalonzo aliapa kuwa kamwe hawezi kuungana na Ruto, huku akiwaonya viongozi wenzake wa upinzani dhidi ya kukubali ushawishi wa rais, na atakaenda kinyume awe tayari kukutana na hasira za raia mwaka 2027. Kalonzo afichua kuwa rais amezidisha juhudi za kushawishi mmoja wa vigogo wa upinzani avuke hadi upande wake. That is the main story that has been captured on the front page. It's also on page 2. We've talked about it. Vidokezo zaidi, Rais Ruto azindua ruwaza mpya, ahutubia taifa katika hafla ya kueleza maono ya muda mrefu ya maendeleo ya Kenya. That is Kenya's Future Beyond Vision 2030, which he said will be launched on August 12. Mbegu za kiume sasa zaundwa katika maabara. Wanaume wasioweza kutingisha kupewa suluhu ya kupata watoto. It's a Friday kweli.
And it's a radical one. Yani huyo ameamua, we're not mincing words.
Yeah.
But I think that's some good news.
Yes, to the men.
To the men and to the ladies too.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Don't you think so? Because ultimately, what's it about?
Getting pregnant.
Exactly.
Getting we are in a generation, and we've seen such reports that the current generation, the Gen Zs, they're going to record a situation where they're okay not having kids, they're okay not getting married. So I see a lot of Gen Zs fearing, marriage and kids this time.
But surprisingly, it is that you realize that they say, okay, well, maybe marriage is a no. Nitatafuta tu dona, nichangamke, one child, and I'm good to go. So at the end of the day, I don't know. It's just going to transform a society into something else. But all the same, vile wamesema kuna wale ambao hawezi sijui kufanya nini, basi watasaidika.
Mbegu za kiume zinaundwa.
Right.
Jumwa ampa Ruto talaka nyingine tena. Ni waziri wa zamani atangaza kuhama UDA, fununu zikisema aelekea Linda Mwananchi.
Hakusema hivyo yeye mwenyewe, ni fununu ndio, lakini yeye mwenyewe alisema atatueleza what her political ambitions or direction would be. But ile kitu ambacho alizungumzia ni kwamba alisema lazima atasimama governor wa Kilifi, na kwamba amekasirika sana kiasi cha kwamba alitoa hata machozi nafikiri, akisema alikuwa founders amongst the founders wa hii chama, lakini kwa bahati mbaya au nzuri saa hii hata akikwenda pale akijaribu kumfikia rais
Ajulikani. And that is the genesis. Yeah, amesaulika kabisa pana tambua like you put it. And you know this, I feel like Kilifi governorship seat, that is the genesis of all this dispute, because it's alleged that the president is supporting the current governor to defend his seat come next year. And Jumwa is of the opinion that why I vouched
she
for
must
you.
understand that with politics, and especially when it comes to such cases, there's always a way you're sat down and you're told, okay, as a party we cannot afford to lose you. Why don't we try and balance this instead ya wewe kupatiwa iwe tulie tutakupatia CS, lakini alipewa CS na nini ilifanyika.
Kuna ingine akapewa tena ile ya trade,
you know,
the one that court nullified that appointment.
You know, sasa
amepewa mbili kakataa, sasa hakuna njia ingine.
Anyway, let's wait and see. Wacha tuone what she does next in terms of her political moves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On the top strip, Njuguna Ndung'u aanika Ruto, ni habari hiyo tumezungumzia pia. Dai rais huendesha kila shughuli serikalini huku mawaziri wakimwogopa. Na ukimgusa unapoteza, usipomgusa unapoteza tu.
A delicate balance.
Delicate balance.
Because rais is supposed to be hands-on. Tena ghafla Binvu naambiwa sikue hands-on sana.
Kidogo kuna mambo hapo. Gazeti la Taifa Leo.
Hapa tuko na the Standard newspaper. And then the Standard newspaper, the front page, as always, they take a trend of taking one story, but I see today we have two. Number one, they talk about forget these rumors. Odida has mentioned sending Ruto home. This is according to Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who says that, of course, there have been speculation, left, right and center, that he could join the government ahead of the year's general election. In fact, there are instances where they have said that amekuwa calm sana, he's not being seen active on ground campaigning, and perhaps that is what has made people to have these speculations. But he says he is on the mission of the united opposition to make sure that they send President William Ruto home come 2027. And of course, that's a story captured on page 9 of the Standard newspaper front page, and extensively on page 9, and of course we get to see that later on the State of the Nation and what it means. But also murder mystery. I think this is the biggest story on the Standard newspaper, where they speak about a respected mental health researcher who was gunned down in broad daylight, a murder that bears the hallmarks of a professional heat. But as detectives tighten the net that is around just figuring out who are the persons of interest, you know, there's a lot of shift even as they focus on the forensic evidence, and also just getting to retrace the trail that stretches back more than 2 decades. What could have happened? You know, sometimes it's very difficult to speak about these cases, because then, of course, they get into the corridors of justice. We can only wait for them to get to establish what really could be the concern. But, of course, it's quite unfortunate that we continue to experience these cases. I remember recently we have seen, you know, women leaders speaking of these femicide cases and perhaps cases of just getting, you know, people to be murdered. And they say it's important as a country we get to establish what really could be there. So it's quite an unfortunate piece and a story that has extensively been captured on page 4 with details of the persons that are already in custody to be persons of interest. That is the big story on the front page. Labda tunasema twende huko nyuma tuangalie mambo ya michezo. Mixed results for Kenyan Stars after Cherotich gold in steeplechase final, and that world champion Odira is set to highlight, of course, women's 800 meters final. That is today, as well as Diego bows out in javelin as Mercy Okech and Mercy Chebet miss slot in 400 meters final. A lot of activities happening. And also our girls, I don't know whether they played yesterday.
Wafcon?
They did. Unfortunately, we lost.
1-0. There's another game we lost 4-0. They defeated us 4-0.
Eldino Demba's team, again, it was against Morocco, now it was against Senegal jana. Tunaenda nyumbani?
Tutaenda. Hapo nayo tunaenda.
Anyway, we love them all the time.
Bado ni wetu.
Ni wetu bado. May the best persons win now moving forward.
Yeah.
We'll still be following up on that, yes. And Kenya's boxers fall as she to Flo's Okaka. Kenya's last boxing hope, that is Robert Okaka, has bowed out of the Commonwealth Games Boxing Championship in Glasgow, Scotland. Also, that is one of the stories that we were following up on. Unfortunately, it seems like it's not going on well for us. And the fact that Diego has bowed down finally, the javelin man, is also an interesting piece to follow. He said he had actually vowed that he will only bow down once there's another, person who has this star of just taking the country to the map. We can only say that perhaps he has established that, and all the best to him. Yes.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at People Daily now. Gachagwa's comeback, they call it a political gift, and they've covered this story extensively on page 3 and 4. Why Ruto may have created the rival who now threatens to reshape Kenya's political map. Right now, regarding Gachagua, if he opens his mouth, just know it's going south. There's always something to look forward to. What Rigathi Gachagua is going to say.
The question is what is he going to be ultimately, as they say, even as he shapes the politics? Is it going to be a kingmaker? Is it going to be the king himself? And that photo on the People Daily is quite an interesting one.
Chungulia.
Anachungulia vizuri. And yes, true to it. Whatever he says most of the times it turns out to be true, to have some level of truth in it. And then you ask yourself just what is happening in government. Kuna watu ambao wanampatia siri. He says that.
Yes.
He says kuna watu rais unatakana ujua wako huko ndani, they keep us telling us what's going on. And therefore, like you rightfully say, akifungua mdomo kuzungumza, you have got to listen to him. But he's also going to face it rough moving forward, because remember, the NCIC said that they are going to investigate on persons that are, aimlessly just dishing out words without thinking and, causing trouble. And therefore, him being a person who's topping the list, he should be very careful of some of the things that he actually, goes out there to speak, especially also because we're headed to a general election. We really need to have words that actually create than words that, crumble down.
That insight, right. That is the main story on the front page of the People Daily. Once again, it's on page 3 and 4. You can read more about it. On the top strip, Kenya's debt trap. How much borrowing is too much? They ask the question on page 8, and they say debt servicing under Consolidated Fund Service has become the fastest growing component of government expenditure, largely driven by domestic interest payments. And as more resources are committed to servicing debt, development spending continues to shrink. We've to borrow to survive Kenya's public debt crisis. Like, we have to borrow to survive. We're doing badly.
The irony of it all, Udida, is that it's just not at the national level.
Yes, even household level.
Household level, you have got to borrow Peter to pay Paul and to survive.
Absolutely. That state of affairs.
It begs the question, why is it that we talk about an economy that is stable, yet this does not trickle down to the masses? But
Right, so that's the People Daily. You have the Star? Yes.
I have the Star. President to launch a new growth blueprint on August 12th. This is what we'll be discussing later on the State of the Nation. We have young men and women who are going to tell us their view about this and how convinced they are at what it is that President William Ruto addressed yesterday. He says, "This is my vision 2060." In the roadmap to that, a story that has been captured on the front page, but extensively on page 2 of the Star newspaper. We also speak of a crisis in 20 counties as nurses abandon patients to push for better terms. These ones were even told that their salaries are going to be adjusted upwards, but they said, well, the bargaining agreement was way beyond just salaries, but also adjustments on very many quotas, and they have remained adamant that if this is not going to be addressed, if the key components of the beginning agreement are not met, then they will not go back to work. And I think we have seen so many of them across the different parts of the country, different counties saying that they down their tools, which then trickles down to just affecting the common mwananchi who is seeking medical attention. Away from it, also top strip, or better yet, the front page page's top beat is the running mate headache plagues Ruto and the divided opposition, a story captured on page 4. I think as well this will be discussing later on the state of the nation, just to get to know the situation of politics moving forward. And 2 arrested over doctors' gunland shooting in Nairobi. That is a story captured on page 16, front page extensively on page 16, but also a story that is making headlines and a case that we all are following closely to get updates from the corridors of justice. And members of parliament stay at troubling times as IEBC moves to ease recall process, and we get to see these realignments, a story captured on page 4 and 5, that is in relation to the question of politics, just how safe are they? And we have some of the faces captured here that face the threat of recall, the likes of Esther Passaris, the likes of Elisha Odhiambo, the likes of Gideon Uchanda, and so many other members of parliament. What will it be like moving forward? Extensively captured on page 4 and 5. No approved side hustle for public officers in tough anti-graft law. Interesting times as well. A story captured on page 6. Most of the times when we have all these side hustles, as we always say, it's a good thing, but hapo ndio watu ambao wanafichanga mambo zao za corruption. Unasema ati I have this hotel going on, and mtu anaiba pesa huku, anaweka hapo. Sometimes anaiba huku, anafanya vitu zingine, akiitwa anasema hii pesa ilitoka kwa hii hoteli, even when it's not it in essence. So what does the law say? Get extensive report on page 6 of the Star newspaper.
So public service workers are not supposed to have side hustles? That's what the story is about?
Well, it's no approved side hustle for public officers in tough anti-graft laws. I mean, we'll be around that area, and it's going to be contested without a doubt. Without a doubt. So they are barred from unapproved side hustles. So I don't know what unapproved would mean in this case. It's a delicate balance, because as well, they can just come and tell you that it is approved.
Yes.
So then, thin line, they need to be very clear, but regulations also impose restrictions on gifts received by public officers. It's quite an interesting piece right there. I think it's important that you grab a copy and get the extensive reports around the same.
Business Daily now, Uganda revives stalled CEO hiring at Kenya Pipeline. They say that the Ugandan government has appointed directors to the board of KPC, reviving the stalled recruitment of the firm's CEO and a new charter that gives Kampala veto powers over the hiring and firing of the company's next boss. So KPC names 2 directors from Kampala. Board appointments pave way for recruitment, and that story is on page 2. Business Daily also makes mention of the strike by the KN, the nurses rather. More pain for patients as nurses join protests. That is a story that has also been captured on the inside pages of the Business Daily this morning. On the ticker, former Treasury CS Ndungu lifts lead on Ruto's one-man show. That former Treasury CS has described President William Ruto's leadership style as a one-man show overshadowing independent institutions. Gold global stocks lift NSE funds returns. 2 funds that allow investors to buy gold and top global firms linked. They say Nvidia and Apple at the NSE have made returns of up to 24% in the past year. That's the Business Daily this morning. But let's cross over our borders and take a look at the regional dailies. The Daily Monitor is back after a very long time. And we're going to start with them to see what they're saying this morning. Power of LC1 stamp, that is the Daily Monitor. That candidates spend millions to win grassroots elections drawn by an office whose official stamp remains central to land transactions, identity documents, and community administration. So they give us a chain here of what is happening as far as LC1 election is concerned, that endorsing land transaction, you need national ID application, endorsing written agreements, issuing letter of good conduct, passport application, applying for bank loan. So this is what's happening before you get the LC1 stamp. That story is on page 4 of the Daily Monitor this morning. Museveni's ministers hit the ground running. That's another story there. Schools complain over new trip rules. And our return, our promise. This is an editorial comment That is on page 12, and it's also on page 12. They talk about from the night of June 28th to July 29th. That's the Daily Monitor. On the New Vision, man nabbed over theft of 50 cars. Yes, why you should not rely on default security systems only. That story is on page 3. Museveni, Somali president, discuss peace, regional stability, and that's the New Vision.
And of course, twende Mwananchi,
Yes.
Moja kwa moja hadi
Tanzania.
Tanzania. Lissu aibwaga jamhuri kotini. It's just the Lissu wars that continue. Unfortunately, or fortunately for them, of course, a bit of relief from the courts before you know it. Of course, the government again is heavy on them. Lakini nafikiri itakuwa ni jambo zuri ukiangalia kwamba wanasema kuna vitu kadhaa ambavyo vinashughulikiwa au vinaangaziwa. Mahakama yabaini kasoro za sheria kuhusu shahidi kwa kesi yake, na alikataa ombi ya Lissu au ombi la Lissu la kutaka kulipwa fidia. Pia baada ya hukumu kesi au ya hukumu kwamba kesi kuendelea mahakama kuu, nafikiri sasa itakuwa ni sijui Lissu aibwaga jamhuri kotini. Kwa hiyo you would have expected it. I think it's going to be a tussle between the government and Lissu, all through government and opposition in Tanzania. It's interesting to follow up, but of course many have said that the government has really been unfair on chama cha Lissu. Sijui kama ndo hivyo au so hivyo, lakini we keep following on this, cases that continue day in and out between the government and Tundu Lissu. Uchaguzi wa ndani uraisi mwaka wa 2020 30
Yes.
2030 ya kueleza mnyukano CCM. Nafikiri itakuwa ni about siasa and all that. Wanasema kama chama kitaendelea kusimama, basi kanuni na katiba lazima zitawekwa au zitapewa kipaumbele. Nafikiri hiyo ni ambayo ni automatic. Definitely you'd say constitutionalism is critical, and that is what they are advocating for. Katazo biashara ya mapanga barabarani mfupa mgumu. Hiyo ni story ambayo imekuwa captured on the front page, but of course extensively on page 16 au ukurasa wa 16. What else? Ripoti yaonya athari za plastiki kwa wanawake na watoto. Nafikiri sisi wote tunajua kwamba kuna athari za plastiki sio tu kwa wanawake na watoto, lakini kwa jamii nzima, na kwa mara tumeona hata in the country here we are always being told that at least we need to get rid of plastic bags because of the impact that they have, in terms of health and in society. That aside, the Citizen, the changing face of mass marathons. Hiyo pia inasema kwamba health experts say the growing number of marathons and increasing participation reflect a rising awareness of healthy lifestyles, with more people taking action to improve their physical well-being. Just how much do you exercise? I think that is critical, a reminder, not just in Tanzania or any other East African nation, but also in the country. New edible oil strategy to lower import bill. This is quite interesting also. And they say by 2035 that Tanzania aims to expand sunflower cultivation, that is to about 2.1 million hectares, and oil palm, that is production, so that at least they have 60,000 in terms of hectares, creating an estimated 3 million jobs along the value chain. That's basically what you would want to hear, and we certainly hope that it works for them. Government also touts AI in healthcare, urges robust data protection. That also is very critical, as they say, a story captured on page 2, and that the health ministry says AI adoption must be guided by ethical principles. Tuingie kwa caricature.
Yes. Let's come back and take a look at the caricatures this morning, and we start off with the one on the Star. Right, a caricature here of Aisha Jumwa jumping from, this wheelbarrow thing, and we know what that is. And there's also a caricature of Irungu Kangata, who, of course, is the latest leader to decamp from UDA, joining DCP. So that is what this cartoonist on the Star is all about, how Aisha Jumwa is jumping from UDA. Where is she going next?
Ametoka, we can only wait to see. That's at the Daily Nation, I think, is also highlighting the same. Well, there's an invite link. Ataamua mahali atakwenda thereafter. But amesema yeye left your WhatsApp group ya UDA. Rigathi Gachagua wako na link yake huko. Nafikiri opposition leaders, Linda Mwananchi and all these others wako na link yake huko. Just how strong is Aisha Jumwa politically? But they say in the country right now, one vote counts. So if Aisha Jumwa is going to decamp from this side to come to this side, it's a plus. But it's interesting that the other day we saw Rigathi Gachagua saying hataki mtu mmoja mwenye alikuwa threaten president at a decamp aingie DCP na yeye anasema simtaki akae huko. Interesting to see a politician saying that hataki that one vote that really counts. That is on the Daily Nation.
All right, the one on the Standard, Harry is here, and there's a caricature here of Edwin Sifuna being caricatured as a bull, which of course symbolizes dominance in the Western region, and there's this pedestal that has been written Western Kingpin. So that is what it's all about. And we see a caricature of Weta and Madividi as chicks, kuku wadogo. And the surprise, according to Harry, that this is a different kind of dominance than we are used to. So they are not used to the kind of dominance that Edwin Sifuna is bringing to the Western region. That is Harry's take this morning.
All right. And the People Daily, the shocker or the axe dangling right on top of the head of the Deputy President, Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki. Fire, see fire, noma, see noma, I'll still be hot in 2027. Whether he will be or not is a question of wait and see, even as the tussle, within the brothers of the broad-based government is on. Wanasema ni 50-50 wa ODM, ya kwamba if it is going to be UDA or Kenya Kwanza that has the Deputy President, we must as well have the Deputy President.
All right.
The UDA gets president, we get
the Deputy President. Right. Absolutely. These are the caricatures this morning. Let's take a look at the traffic situation in and around Nairobi. Major tributaries to town, Muthaiga interchange, this is Thika Road, building up slowly. There seems to be some sort of chock-a-block. It's already painting red there, so I don't know what is happening around Muthaiga interchange on your way to town. If you're along that road, let us know what is happening. Garden Estate is building up slowly, and that is still on your way to town. And that is how Thika Road is looking like this morning. Going way back to Kamiti Road is also building up slowly as you, of course, make your way to town. Let's see other areas. Outer Ring Road, nothing to worry about this morning. It looks clear. So that is a good time. This is a good time to leave the house if you're heading to town. We take a look at Nairobi Expressway. There's nothing to worry about this morning, so it's looking quite good. Jogoo Road also building up slowly on your way to town, Makadara area. There's just a little, I think these are just buses that are standing there, waiting for, of course, people heading to town. So Jogoo Road, nothing to worry about as well. I'm looking at Manyanja Road as well. Looking good. Nothing to worry about. Kangundo Road is also looking so nice this morning. Literally Friday traffic. So if you're heading to town, this is the perfect time to, leave the house if you're heading there, because the roads are clear this morning apart from Thika Road, which of course is building up slowly, and there's already a chock-a-block along the Muthaiga interchange. That's the state of the traffic this morning.
And as earlier promised, we'll be having a heated conversation around the state of the nation, the president's address yesterday evening, the things that he highlighted, but also the political situation in the country. Whom do we have this morning? Wanjiku Dhiga, National Youth Caucus chairperson of DCP party. We also have Kariuki Ngunjiri, National Youth leader of UDA. And last but not least, Jared Oye, ODM Youth League, who I see is already here on standby. Just what do they make of the situation in the country? And you back as well. Very important that you tell us your view as we get to that.
Absolutely. Later on, we'll be having Pokomo Princess. She will be hosted by Collins Kagiri. Will be joining me later on for Feel Good Friday. Remember, this is the Feel Good Friday edition. We'll also be having DJ Bluey 254 for some great hits and good vibes. So meanwhile, do interact with us through our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X, it's TV47 Digital. Use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast, hashtag story ni yetu. My handle is at Annie_Dida.
And mine is at Linda_Lela. I think we take a quick short break so that we can usher in the guests and we get to the conversation right away.
Tangulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
You won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
on TV47.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo ni tonga commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo tena. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka.
Hii ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo ni tonga commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo tena. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka.
Hii ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako. Hamna pesa.
I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Nikikunywa maji.
Oh my God, you left me. Nitumie ni line.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently,
We're on, yeah? This is TV47 Breakfast, time for the State of the Nation. President William Ruto addresses the nation yesterday, highlights just how important and critical it is for us to forge the way forward in what people have termed as a Vision 2060, coming from Vision 2030, which he says we have fallen short of achieving some of the targets that we had set as a country, but that does not mean that we slow down. And of course, he comes on board with a report presented to him by a team led by none other than Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o and other scholars, other professors. They have worked on a document that they say is good enough to steer the country forward. Do you or do you think that is basically what would play out, or perhaps there's more that needs to be done? Is the country ripe to follow to it what it is that the president says or the president recommends, even as we await for August the 12th, where then we usher ourselves into that space officially? That's what we'll be discussing this morning alongside other political activities that are playing out in the country. And my guests, of course, right next to me, I would say right next to me, is Wanjiku Thiga, who's the National Youth Caucus chairperson of DCP party. Perhaps would not agree with what it is that the president says, but we wait to see. And we also have next to her Jared Oye, who is the ODM Youth League, amongst the leaders there. Thank you so much for creating time, Jared, as always. And last but not least, Karaoke Ngonjiri, National Youth Leader, UDA, whom I met after a very long time, finally again on set. It's good to have you once again to get to this critical conversation. The two of them are likely to speak the same language because then, of course, they sit within the broad-based government. Jared, I want to believe that you are in the ODM faction of broad-based.
Thank you very much.
ODM. There's nothing like that.
There's nothing like that. ODM ni chama moja.
Ni moja.
Ni moja.
Yeah, broad-based.
No, it's a coalition, conversation going on. Yes, and that's not a political party.
Okay. Interesting. They say that, of course, we appreciate what it is that the president, presented to us yesterday. And in equal measure, we have seen other people arguing that perhaps they're not excited about that because, well, they feel like even as the president acknowledges that we've not been able to reach, the targets we set for 2030, reality is that his government itself has not performed according to expectation. Wanjiku, this goes straight to you. Ladies first, as they would say. What do you make of the president's address yesterday? One that caught most of the Kenyans, flat-footed because we never expected a State of the Nation address. But the president comes out and highlights just what we need to do as a nation moving forward.
Thank you for having me today. Good morning. Good morning, Kenyans. Nilidhani government tajitetea kwanza, but yes, I'll take lead. Yesterday, first of all, as you know, opposition, we were pleased that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua gave us leakage. So we knew what to expect.
Was it leakage or it was just in the...
And actually threw the president off. So we saw him try to repackage his speech. Rigathi Gachagua told us he's going to speak about his Vision 2060. Now he called it Beyond Vision 2030. I am actually not quite shocked, but maybe also shocked because we've watched the president skip from the hustler narrative and the better economic model to Singapore, and now jumping into Vision or Beyond Vision 2030. This means that he has been unable to implement 2 blueprints, and now he's looking for another one. And as Kenyans, we want to let him know that we don't want him to plan our future. He's already failed. And if you look at Vision 2030 itself, and sana, let's look at the political pillar. We've seen him being unable to implement, to fully implement during his reign. The rule of law, we know this regime doesn't respect it in any way. When we talk about equal human rights, we talk about respect of human life. We've seen this government on the forefront of killing young people. And number 2, when we look at transparency and accountability, corruption is at an all-time high today. Let's look at debt. Today, debt is growing at 18%, while the economic growth is at 4%. And this is why the purchasing power of Kenyans is very low. That's why people watatuambia unga imeteremuka, but bado Kenyans can't afford it because the purchasing power is low. So this government has failed. It needs to stop planning for our future. We are going to plan for our future unity government in 2027. Took on a plan, and William Ruto what he needed to do yesterday was to account for what he has done so far. Because people will not eat hope. People want to see what have you achieved for us today.
Okay.
How have you made our realities better? But speaking about hope and, and always talking about these Asian tigers, he hasn't even consulted Kenyans. Is that where we want to go?
And that's a good question, or perhaps that's a good observation that, yes, the Asian tigers, it's always good to look at, nations that have done well, for you to say that, well, we'd want to benchmark or we'd want to go that direction. And especially if these nations were at the same level with us at some point in time. But also to act the devil's advocate is that the president has constantly highlighted what it is that his government has achieved. Perhaps then he saw no need or no point of doing that yesterday. But because they are representatives and believers of this government here, I think I'll allow for them to respond to that. A vision so beautiful, without discipline and without constitutionalism that the president also highlights in his speech is pointless. And therefore, Karaoke, I come to you. What do you make of the address yesterday? What is it about? Just how convincing would it be for Kenyans who already feel like, the government has not done well? How do you get to convince Wanjiku here that, perhaps this is the way to go? After 2030, we realize that we have just about 4 years to get to 2030, and we have not managed to achieve some of the things that we had said. But all in all, we must plan for tomorrow. And when we talk about even 2060, or his plan moving forward, it is likely not about him, because if he is to stay in power, it would be another 5 years and he's out, and he's left this for another reign to push it. What would you make of that?
Well, I guess, like many of us have observed, the speech was timely.
Okay.
A few years to the next election, and now a few years to the end of the Vision 2030, as we anticipated, is coming to a close. And basically what the president is saying, that having a moment of reflection as a country, to reset our mind, to reflect on where we have come and set a new objective towards the future. There is a very wrong impression that I see the opposition in a section of the media. I can see the Standard today saying, out with the bottom up, in with the development charter.
And it's critical that we ask those questions.
Yes, I think what people need to understand is that the Vision 2030 was a long-term plan. It was not a manifesto for any one government. It is a Kenya blueprint for the next 22 years from 2008. And it had 3 pillars. The first pillar was the political pillar. There was the economic pillar, and there was the social pillar. In the political pillar, just 2 years after it was done by the Economic Council, we got the new constitution. And this new constitution was supposed to guide us on the other social and economic pillars. And you know, President Ruto's administration is synonymous with championing economic rights for the people of Kenya. So the president majorly focused on the economic charter. In this economic charter, he drew a manifesto, the bottom up, the better manifesto, that is supposed to address the economic plight of the people of Kenya. So in that one, that is where now the bottom-up economic model came in. It is a journey towards achieving a long-term plan, the Vision 2030. And the president has not moved off the grid from the bottom-up economic agenda. It is why, and if you read the better plan, we call it the plan, you'll actually see some of the interventions that is made. For instance, the Sovereign Wealth Fund that is supposed to deliver on infrastructure. You will see some of the actionable points that he read in the speech yesterday. And you will also see certain clauses like the financial inclusion, which means that today there is billions of money that have been dispersed as it was promised in the manifesto for business development. Nyota Fund and all these kind of funds that were created. And the president is not doing something new. He's just moving on with the plan that we set out. Lastly, on that point, it is also important for Kenyans to know that the government of William Ruto, or the administration of William Ruto, in 2022, came in at a time when the economy was doing very badly. I heard my colleague say it's growing at 4%. I want to correct her. The economy is growing at a rate of 5.6%. The projections within the Vision 2030 was that it would be double digit, 10%, which means we are still limping in terms of achieving that. And no government, including the Kibaki government, was able to get to a double digit.
And that would be the question. What would guarantee Kenyans that whatever it is that the president presents today is something that even another government would take up and, you know, guarantee as that beautiful change that he envisions?
And how to run a country, for you to understand this, you know, a country is not run like a new administration comes in and does its own things. A country is like building this place. One person will do the foundation, the next person does another pillar, the next one does another thing, until this building is complete.
What would you say is the amount of justice that this government has done to the 2030 vision?
I would say this one. Today, we have the shilling stable compared to the dollar. We came in at a time when the Kenyan shilling was trading at about
But how much does that align to the 2030 vision? And you talk about the pillars,
Yes, in the economic pillar, that is where I want to come in. In the economic pillar, when the president came in 2022, the Kenyan shilling was doing very badly in the global market. Today, it has stabilized from a rate of about 180 all the way up to 129 shillings. Number two, the foreign direct investments, FDIs, have improved at an all-time high to about 3.5 billion. If you look at the foreign currency reserves that we have, now goes way high up to about 15 billion US dollars, something that you've never experienced in this country. Again, the macroeconomics, look at the cost of basic commodities. The cost of flour has gone down. When this government came in, there was a problem of the dollar, which now basically meant that the prices of fuel would go up as a result of that. Of course, there are other issues that are beyond our control that have impacted the fuel prices, which is a global issue. But in terms of the government stabilizing the economy, inflation is down from almost 8.9% to about 5%. That's 3% downward.
So that is concern would be,
yes,
why is it that we talk about a magical transformation in terms of where we are, as per the economy and our finances, that we have stabilized, yet this is not being felt direct, by the common mwananchi, because that's the essence of having a stable economy. If this is not going to be felt by the common mwananchi, then there's a gap here that we are not addressing. But I will allow you to respond to that after we get the next gentleman coming in, for the same. And just to get your view on what it is that the president mentioned yesterday. You are under the ODM, and there's also been a general feel that perhaps this was Raila Odinga's unfinished agenda under the broad-based government format. And President William Ruto received this report some weeks ago from the team. We will call it the task force for now. And he was so loud to highlight that this is a plan they had set, having consulted the former premier. May his soul rest in eternal peace. He also went ahead to say that he had consulted the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, extensively on the same, and that's the reason why he proceeded to tell the Nyong'o team and other professors work on this report that would steer the country forward. I mean, is it really all about Raila Odinga, and are we clear on this vision and the possibility of us achieving something, if this is the government that is going to carry the day past 2027?
Thank you very much. I think, as my brother Munyiru was putting it, they had a plan. And subsequently, we must also agree that we had the Jubilee Big Four agenda. All these were withdrawn or were drawn from the Vision 2030. The better agenda that they're talking about is within this document here, if you go through it. We from Azimio One Kenya, if we were to form a government, our manifesto was within this Vision 2030. So first, I think we must also agree that when Raila was around, there was a call that he made immediately after the JNZ, that's around July 2024. And I'm among the few people from the Youth League who were assigned maybe to work on that project, the conclave. For us to have intergenerational conversation as a country, can Kenya talk to itself? And I think maybe at some point why there are some quarters feeling that Rais Ruto yesterday didn't meet the expectation. For the first time, we were having a State of Nation address, issue-based, or from political rhetorics that we have been having for the longest time. I think, as my brother was putting it, this is just a roadmap of where we should be and where we are. This is a roadmap of where the achievement that we have made. And I think at some point, Rais was saying that we are not criticizing the Vision 2030, but at some point there are those that we have fell forth without achieving. We must also agree that where we are as a country, we must have a plan. I think my sister have mentioned the Asian tigers. They were our peers. But where did we miss the mark? Where did we miss the mark that Singapore is now far much ahead of us if you compare their GDP per capita? So these are the tough questions.
And one tough question that she asks is, have we aligned as per the rule of law, you know, the constitution, so that we say, even if we have this beautiful vision, then we are able to achieve it, courtesy of how we behave as a people. I want us to take a short break, and then I want to allow you, you know, speak on the very same note, because it's a critical matter that we must address. If we do not address our morals, then I'm afraid no matter how beautiful a vision we have, we might not be able to achieve it. So let's allow ourselves take a quick short break, and then we come back with that, even as we veer off to a different conversation that would be around politics after this break.
We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in East and Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
On TV47.
Back to the broadcast. This is TV47 Breakfast, and we have Wanjiku Thega. We also have Karaoke Ngunjiri and Jared Oye. Jared, back to you, even as we're summing up on this, because reality is that Kenyans still need to interact with the document that was presented to the president, and above everything, await the 12th of August, which then the president says would be the main day where then we begin with this journey. So yes, you speak of the fact that, of course, the broad-based government, Raila Odinga, you know, really was focused much on what was of 2030. But clearly the president acknowledges that we fall short, and we are 4 years shy, you would say, to getting into that mark. So yes, what else moving forward?
My sister, I think where we are, we'll say that Vision 2030, there are things that we have achieved with it. And one of them that we have celebrated for as a nation is the Constitution 2010. I think the conversation today have changed, that we need to achieve and have the fourth liberation of one country, that is economic liberation. I think that's the conversation. If you're very keen on yesterday's presidential national address from the president, it centered this conversation on our vision 2030 and beyond, on our economic journey, where we are and where we should be. And I think we must also remember in Uhuru's government, Ruto, we had the infrastructure which were going on. And I think today, William Ruto have taken it notch high. Kenya is we'll say, a construction site everywhere. And I think these are on the highway for us achieving this vision. I think we check in education. We had the 8244, 844, I'm sorry. And today we have the CBC. The 844 was, we never had a plan on how we are going to inject the graduates into the economic sphere of our country. Unfortunately, that's why we are having many graduates outside here who are jobless, because we didn't industrialize our economy. But I think with the CBC today, it will be very easy for us to absorb our comrades, our students, the graduates into the economy without maybe creating for them jobs as it was perceived before in the 844. We must also remember where we are today. You have talked about, Rice was talking about the healthcare yesterday. The question that comes in now, is the universal healthcare working for us? Is it aligned with the Vision 2030 and beyond? We must also remember on the affordable housing and sanitation and water, are they things achievable? And that's the question we asked before we went for break. I strongly believe that the address that Rais gave yesterday, these are the things that we can achieve in our lifetime. There's nothing barring us as a country to be where our peers are. If you check Zambia today, they were far much behind us today, But today, economically, they are above us. So these things that I think William Ruto is giving us, or the vision that Prof. Nyang'nyong'o and Prof. Hino and the team have walked around, these are things that are achievable within our lifetime. And yesterday, again, I think when Rice was addressing the nation in his closing statement, he said that this thing, the address here today, there's a born child who may not even understand that this address was here. There are those who have not familiarized themselves with the document that he gave yesterday. But this is to live beyond Rais William Ruto's tenure. It is not only to the politicians, and that's why we find it from ODM fashionable. It's aligned with what our founding party believed in, that a country can have a conversation beyond the politicians and leaders who always maybe find the table, they share the table. We can find a common ground from our professionals, from our church leaders, from youths, from academia. We sit down, have a conversation on our way forward. I think it's also very interesting. There's nothing unique that South Korea did that we can't do. There's nothing unique that maybe China did that we in Kenya we can't do. We strongly believe that Vision 2030 and beyond is achievable in our lifetime.
All right, fair enough. I want us to also introduce another conversation, but still within the same prospects. So let's listen in to what it is that this story about Kalonzo Musyoka and his possibility of veering off to join government is all about. Then we come back and get to understand what does the united opposition have, because then they will criticize the document that the president presents, yet we do not seem to get much in terms of a vision for the nation from them.
After hours of speculations fueled by out-of-context videos, photos, and digitally manipulated graphics circulating on social media, alleging that Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka had held a meeting with President William Ruto.
Asante sana, karibu, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has come out strongly dismissing any possibility of working with President William Ruto ahead of 2027 general election. Instead, Kalonzo says the two will face each other at the ballot, accusing the government of orchestrating what he termed as dirty tricks aimed at creating divisions within the opposition.
I want to tell Mr. William Ruto, please stop. Stop imagining that one Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka can ever join you. We'll meet at the ballot. We will have that conversation at the ballot on the 10th of August next year, God willing. We pray to God that He gives you good health, He gives us good health, tukutane pale, so we can now consolidate our democracy. Amen. And do away with this pretense.
Speaking during a meeting with Linda Mwananchi faction led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna alongside Embakasi East MP Babu Owino and other opposition leaders, Kalonzo maintained that they remain firmly committed to the United Alternative Government Coalition. He said consultations are ongoing to build a formidable coalition that will challenge President William Ruto in the 2027 general election.
Ukiwinda hamwezi kupitia njia moja kama ni adui sampli hii ya William Ruto. Napitia routine ile ingine, but we want to assure Kenyans that we are going to unite. We have no option. All of us who love this country so dearly, who have sacrificed so much that this country can be a true democracy, not a dictatorship, not a kleptocracy, not a gangster regime, not a gangsterism, which is what it is today.
We must preach the unity of the opposition, and it's a unity that is based on certain values, and I'm coming to that as our second agenda here today, is to try to build consensus amongst the leadership of the opposition as to what they view is important to the people of Kenya at this particular moment in time. Your Excellency, increasingly we hear from young people especially that democratic governance and freedoms and the values that are expressed in our constitution are better than these shiny things that we see, because they believe roads can be built by anyone, but only a Democrat will protect the freedoms and rights.
The Linda Mwananchi faction also reaffirmed its commitment to a united opposition front. This as Kalonzo further revealed that the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance will hold a meeting on Monday to chart the coalition's next course of action, while inviting members of the Linda Mwananchi faction to join discussions once they conclude their registration process.
Your Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, for Kenyans to get jobs, opposition must be united. For Kenyans, for high cost of living to be lowered or to go down, then opposition must be united. For taxes to be lowered, opposition must be united. We don't have an option.
He's actually daydreaming. Kenyans are so determined that we give them the change that they want. And as Linda Mwananchi and the United Alternative Government, we will keep working together on the basis of shared values, shared democratic values, to bring the change that this country so desperately desires.
So what we need, I don't change. So select who that our party leader was subjected to some funny interview. We see a so this time around, when we saw those clips, we were shocked. Last time we Chezo, this time, Your Excellency, this is your only bullet in the
You have also come kulinda Kalonzo.
Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Liz, for that one. Jiko, it's beautiful to have a united opposition. It's more beautiful to have a united opposition with a vision. I know your party leader wasn't there, but I believe that this caucus was with his blessings. As an alternative government, you know, here is a president who's talking about his vision. Some months shy to the general election. Here is also a united opposition that is also talking about a vision that clearly looks like it's just about getting rid of the current regime. Then what?
Thank you for the question. Before I answer you, I would like to give a rebuttal. Kariuki, you are wrong. When you got into government, USD was at 124 shillings. Today it's exchanging at 128 to 132. So again, it shows to your poor performance.
I would want to, yes.
Maybe don't interrupt me when I speak.
Okay.
Let me finish, because I let you finish. And again, let me speak to the presidential address again. Jared, you're speaking about conversations, but understand that this is a government that does not even respect dissent. It doesn't even have or hold genuine conversations and dialogues. I hoped that because now I see two people defending government, I know it's such heavy task to defend government. That's why it had to send two representatives. I hoped that Jared will speak about compensation of young Kenyans and Kenyans who have actually gone through a lot of killings, even beyond even 2022. I hoped you'll be on the forefront. Let's even talk about security and peace building, a pillar of Vision 2030. This government has introduced gun politics in this country. You know, you have seen, I know it because it's government perpetrating it. We on the other end, we are, every single time we have rallies, we have, engagements with the public, it must be disrupted by tear gas, by goons. We saw even Olkalau elections, by elections, and this goes to say that even when you look at electoral and political processes, they are electoral violence. And what does that mean? Will IBC even, will it deliver for Kenyans in 2027? That is the question. So we look at electoral violence, we look at gun politics that has gone into Kenya. then you want to speak about another vision that you want to bring to this country, yet you're failing in implementing this today. William Samoei Ruto should be the last person to talk about constitutional freedoms, because he was on the forefront. He campaigned against the Constitution of 2020, or of 2010, sorry. So we know he has no, that's why he ignores rule of law, he ignores everything. Transparency and accountability is the last to it. And we speak about, achievements of, Nyota Fund and everything. We cannot build a country, we cannot talk about a beyond Vision 2030 by using cash drops and tokenistic. Those are, we are talking about Asian tigers. They did not get there by using cash drops. They didn't. So you are not genuine. This regime is not genuine about building systems that will work for young people, young Kenyans. Because it cannot be grown by cash drop systems. It can't. So, and I've seen there's the issue of the National Infrastructure Fund. This is just President William Samoei Ruto coming in and ignoring, building a fund for himself that does not even need going through parliament, parliament approval. Him having a fund that he will not account to anyone. He will do anything as he wishes. Yet this is not, public pass.
And perhaps, Wanjiku, as I have said,
do not interrupt.
Yes.
That it needs people to verify, to look into, to account to. But this is a fund for him to do as he wishes. Again, he doesn't follow the rule of law. And he keeps dropping the word constitution in every conversation he has, even yesterday. But we know this is not a man who respects the rule of law and the constitution.
And that is okay, because we have seen a majority of the other side saying that, well, they are dissatisfied with his style of leadership. And therefore, that means, well, Kenyans are living these experiences right now. So what is the united opposition bringing on board in terms of a vision, in terms of change? But I will allow him to also just respond to you briefly, so that we come, so we don't have misrepresentation of facts here, and you make it.
So I perhaps it's correct, because this is a very respected TV program.
Right.
There are some things when you come to such a forum to speak about, the viewer might actually be having more information that you do. So you need to be very careful, my friend. And if your producer can maybe display
project
or
the
get
numbers.
a way of telling us the Kenyan shilling was at 124 shilling, that is something that I have.
There was a lot of fluctuation, fluctuating then.
It's the producer can actually get us the correct value of the Kenyan shilling to the dollar between 2021 October to August 2022. Even if it's a slip of the tongue, it couldn't go below 129. So, Wanjiku, I think it is important for you to get the facts right.
I am.
Understand that.
Well, let's just agree that at some point in time, it has hit a record high of 135.
Yes.
Now, I would actually want the producer to check and give us that information. Number two, something that I think the opposition people have never grasped is the situation that this country was in 2022 and the problems that this administration has been trying to cure. We cannot build an economy, get the microeconomics correct without getting the basics right. And that is the foundation of everything. So the president is not giving an ambitious plan from Mars or anywhere. He's just building on the foundation of getting the economy moving. And that is why he said that we have stabilized the economy. Let us now build on prosperity. And I quote him. That is what he said. Because look at it this way. If we have a country that has and in the Vision 2030, the objective was to make Kenya an upper middle economy that is newly industrialized. You see? So for us to have that upper middle economy status, the first thing that we must do, we must come up with ways to alienate poverty. We cannot get macroeconomics wrong and assume that we are going to get to that status. Number two, on getting the country to a newly industrialized level, we must make sure that one, the people of Kenya are able to start industries. Industries in business terms means somebody can begin something that brings livelihood. They can be able to start a business. They can be able to be entrepreneurs. They can be able to do things for themselves.
Okay.
While the government works on things like infrastructure to enable them to achieve that, the basic issues of somebody sustaining their lives is the conversation here. And that is where we started.
And that's fine.
Yes.
And hence my question to her, and perhaps to you and to Jared, that, okay, fine, in the likelihood that we probably do not have the UDA government come 2027, are we confident as a people that we will have all this that Ngunjiri highlights, which are critical for the nation to move forward?
Ngunjiri is speaking about a lot of theories. You know, you can't speak about macroeconomics well, already our debt, we've already hit our debt ceiling.
So why do you guys want
can't.
to inherit a government in that state?
We cannot also talk about, you know, macroeconomics when corruption is one of the heaviest deterrents of progress in this country.
And that's fine. That's why I'm saying let's talk.
I am moving. You see, we can't start businesses. We can't talk about industrializing a country, yet it's full of violence. You have goons running around this country, stopping traffic to violate Kenyans. So we need to stop pretending that this country can get better if we do not even solve the basic issues. We can't talk about El Nino.
How do we solve the basics?
Yes, I am saying that. Yeah. The president should have spoken about El Nino. You know, the realities of Kenyans. We see when it floods in Nairobi, what happens. Narok, we see those things. We wanted him to speak about the incoming farming that's coming because we've been told that yields are low. So what will alternative government bring into Kenya? Or what do we want to do? We want to reset Kenya, actually, because everything is going wrong in this country. We want to reset debt because when you look at all our issues in this country, it boils down to how we manage debt. We are borrowing 60% locally and 40% outside. If we reset debt, then that means we are curbing corruption. We have to look at the public purse spending. We look at State House lagis. We have to cut spending in State House. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about improving life of Mwananchi, then we can't live like that in a lagis way. So, and healthcare. Yesterday, I attended a burial of where a young mom lost her 5-month-old child because she couldn't even afford. Healthcare has become unaffordable in this country. So resetting healthcare in this country, because we know SHA is not working. And yes, we might want to go back to NHIF, but it also had its potholes here and here, loopholes. So also, you know, auditing NHIF and making it better. Education funding model, I know the president has said he made a pronouncement that people are going to go back to school for free. I don't know how that is possible because even capitation itself is weak in our education systems. So for us, it's to reset our country. It is to audit and what we are doing. I know they want us to speak more on our manifesto, but the time for speaking about manifesto hasn't come. It begins in February, when now we are campaigns, you know, following IBC's schedule. That's when we are going to speak more about our manifesto. But as of now, what the opposition is doing is holding to account the government, because that's our role.
All right.
Well, I guess on that point, let me clarify. Let me respond to that. One, the problem that Kenya has had with the debt is, and the opposition has no plan to deal with debt and to stop that foreign market borrowing. We have now the new infrastructure fund. The reason why we had a debate about Safaricom and the conversation about looking at government bodies that are not making profit and are not making economic sense. Why would we have dead capital in an institution like Safaricom while we can take some of the stake that the government owns in Safaricom and transform it into something more economically actionable to benefit this country. And that is the things that the opposition never grasp. These are some of the new innovations that this government has put in place to ensure that we put a cap on the borrowing. And you know, already Parliament has already communicated this issue about the borrowing issue. But how are we providing solutions to that problem? That is why we have the Sovereign Wealth Fund. It is going to fund our infrastructure project without relying on foreign markets. It is a new thinking in Kenya, and I believe that for President William Ruto, this must be one of the most consequential decisions in his administration. The opposition so far keeps on throwing allegations here and there without responsibility. It's their job. And they cannot tell you clearly what their alternative for this country is. In this national blueprint that we are doing here, they cannot understand that this is not William Ruto's manifesto for re-election. It is a continuation to the grand Kibaki dream that we had in 2008.
Yes.
That we now have to reset and think about what we have achieved, a new constitution in the political charter. And now let us have some guarantees to bring dignity and economic growth to Kenyans as stipulated in the Constitution. The Constitution does not say that we always champion democracy. We always talk about political rights. It also says that we must bring dignity to the people of Kenya. That is why there is dignified housing.
And I'm
that is
glad
why
that you
there
speak
is social security. Today, NSSF,
let's allow
the country is
saving,
saving up to 600 billion shillings. Never happened in any administration. So these are some of the things that the government is, or rather the Ruto administration, is championing, and the opposition has no clue. That is why they keep on.
It's not our job to
and then
their
on the goons.
United Opposition does not. It's not its mandate to sell their work.
You know, Linda. Last,
our work is to hold them to account.
Linda. Lastly, she has talked about the issue of goons. Let me tell her, the issue of goons is not a one person's burden. We have people who are on record as having hired goons from one, the side of the opposition, and two, from the side of government.
Goons are escorted by police officers in this country.
Wanjiko, you
it's
did
not
not want to
shouting
be
match.
Interrupted while you were talking.
No, but he's lying. You know, goons are escorted by police officers in this country.
We are aware, Wanjiko, we are aware that...
In a debate, it's wrong to say that someone is lying.
You are.
It is not.
We have evidence that
it is wrong.
We shall shelve your comments and come to Garrett.
Can I come in?
Yes, come in, please.
Thank you very much. No, I've been silent listening to both of them on their jobs.
Yes.
There's a question that I think my sister Wanjiku brought on compensation. And Wanjiku, my leader, we must remember that there's a work in progress. And this was not only on the young people who died on the hands of the police brutality, who dies on the hands of rogue police officers. This is something that from the party position that I'm coming from, on the 10-point agenda, it is agenda number 3. And I think from July, the compensation has been going on. And that's why maybe I didn't touch on it, but it's a work on progress on compensation. And I think from our party, we're saying that it needs to start from 2017. But something that we were looking into depth, that ingefaa ianze pale 2013, when we had the election dispute in 2013. Pia umeongelea the goons and politics, as my brother was putting it. This was neither here nor there. All our political players, from those in opposition, our alternative government, as you put it, and the government, our political class have refused to create new opportunities to these young people. In most cases, they use them and dispose them at their will. And they do quote them security. So it is not on government side. Neither are we going to blame the ones in opposition or in the united government. All our political leaders, from MCS to governors to senators, when they walk around, you know you have been around. they all work with these young men in cabs, in cabs. So some of them are having knives and so on and so forth, and you know that. And this squarely goes to all our political players. Do we ask ourselves at some point, did we devolve goonship? Instead of us devolving economical transformation to our counties. Pia umeongelea IBC. I think that's the other day. United Opposition, up to yesterday, they are still celebrating the by-election in Okalau, that the IBC delivered. We want them to believe and trust the IBC, the same way they trusted them in Okalau by-election, that chairperson and its commissioners will deliver credible and fair election come 2027. Why do we want to cry foul if we believed in by-election in Okalau? You asked a question. No, my leaders here have diverted off from a question that you asked about Kalonzo Musyoka, United Opposition, Sifuna, and so on. I'm from a political party, and at some point we are feeling failed and disappointed in our former SG. Here in Nairobi, we had a by-election where DCP won in Kariobangi. The person who was entrusted in that campaign was SG Sifuna. He didn't deliver here in Nairobi. We must also remember when he went to Trans Nzoia and Bungoma. When he was the SG of the ODM party, he was unable to let us have a proper grip of the Bungoma county, where is Bond. We must also remember that in Trans Nzoia, that's the only county. There are two counties in Western Kenya, Trans Nzoia and Bungoma. Trans Nzoia, we only have one MP, Caleb Miss, who's today having a political party. And when Sifuna went to Western Kenya, no, he's a smart guy. He went to the counties we from them, you say they are swing counties in that region. We have never had a proper grip of them. Because like now in Bungoma, we only had one MCA. Where Sifuna is coming from. So how is going to have a proper grip of the two counties? But this now brings us to this conversation. Sifuna and the opposition, or united government as they put it, the other day they met Matiang'i, another lazy politician around.
Wow. Well,
yeah,
the opposition here.
The opposition, another lazy one around, doing nothing. I think we only see them around the fire, the bonfire. Yesterday they met another lazy one. It is press after press and meeting after the meeting. We're asking them, now the young people, the young politicians, the ones who are coming from the ODM wing, they call themselves the Linda Mwananchi, Babu Owino and Sifuna and the team. When they went to meet Kalonzo, is he really looking presidential? Why is still going to hang around these lazy politicians? And I think at some point, her party leader, I think, was quoting that they need to do something. When he was moving around Mount Kenya, Sifuna was in Western Kenya and the team. These other ones disappeared, and I think he said yesterday that he was in Zanzibar, something like that. So the question comes in, what alternative are they offering? When Rais was giving a vision, that is not a manifesto as my brother is putting it, they were not offering a proper alternative as we were expecting them. If you call yourself an alternative government, what are we going to offer? Number 3, Linda, where we are today, we want a issue-based policy, ideals, politics, not name calling unnecessarily, pointing fingers without offering a solution.
Yeah, or she says that is going to come sometime in February.
Actually,
how is it coming?
He's the only one who likes abusing people.
Let me tell you. Public policy is about delivering certain fundamental public goods and services to the people. And that is what Kenyans want from these politicians.
Right.
While as the current administration, we are doing what we were elected to do.
No, you're not.
We are also asking our colleagues in the oppositions to now be decent and stop just pointing fingers.
No, it's our work to do accountability.
Doing cheap politics with the lives of Kenyans, and yet they are not offering any alternative solution to the plan that we have.
Time comes,
what time?
February.
I've already said.
February. This is the time to.
I've already said when the time to sell our manifesto comes, we will. But what is our mandate today? Is to hold to account the government.
Right.
Our work is to get keep.
to check what the government is doing and to also hold them
No, you
to
know,
account.
Linda,
But you see, this government doesn't.
coming to
Again,
you.
and I'm
Remember
saying,
your two-
I know
and this is why I'm saying- and this is why I'm saying
the problem
that
with
this
this
government,
opposition,
this government doesn't hold genuine discussions, because we have just told them right now that our work as today, as a united opposition, is to do accountability. So why are they forcing down our throats dysfunction? Why are you forcing down our throats dysfunction? Because we've said, they don't even follow rule of law. I've just said we are following the ABC schedule.
Right.
Then they don't follow rule of law, so that's why they can still throw jabs at us, telling us you are not doing.
Linda,
you're not
Linda,
telling.
Let's give them
But
time.
remember, they are 2 against 1. So
We're
let
waiting
me
for February.
Because
All right,
yes.
I've seen.
And next time the panel should be balanced. We need to be 2 versus 2, because it can't be government is sending 2 people and
nobody's sending us here. No,
you know, this is about.
It's not about
Linda, this is about facts. This is about facts.
Numbers. It's about how.
It's about facts.
And I'm factual. And I'm
That's
factual.
fine.
And
All right, Jared.
Let's
allow Jared.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Jared, proceed. And make it tight so that we also have Ngunjiri.
There's something that my sister is putting across. We must remember, in our new constitution, we expect institutions to check each other. I'm not expecting her to tell us that the political party that she's coming from is going to check the government of the day. We expect the National Assembly, where they're having one MP, the one who's elected from Kalau, to be able to check the executive, that is Rais, and his cabinet. We expect the courts, that's the judiciary, to do their work. If you talk about the rule of law and the constitution, let us have our institutions to do
not overlook
their job.
the sovereignty of the people and the
Exactly.
opposition are Kenyans.
It's Kenyans who are sending the MPs into the parliament. They're elected by people. They're not.
Do you have the
they're not
confidence in
unpicked.
the performance of the parliament today?
Today, I don't have confidence.
So how do you expect for them to check?
So, Linda,
I'm telling
and
you,
you're getting assistance.
Linda,
they're all about theories, not practical.
The question Kenyans are asking these opposition people is, when will they stop doing these press conferences, drawing allegations that have no accountability, saying that women were raped in Kalau, 69 of them, and yet no single case has been reported in the police stations. Just to throw an allegation, then say these people will not go and report because they are reporting to the same police who raped them. I mean, how low can we go? And that is why I've said, instead of them doing a press conference at SKM, another one at Wamunyoro, wherever the press that they are doing their press conferences, can they come before Kenyans and be decent enough and tell the people of Kenya that while we have tried to put this government in check, the kind of vision and the kind of public policy issues that the government of President William Ruto is advocating for are beyond us. Let us give this government another term, because we are unable to do our job.
And you know what?
That is what they are supposed to come to Kenyans and tell them. And then finally, these opposition people are people who listen to their own echoes. Have you heard people who are in an echo chamber? They think that whatever they say is right. It is called the Messiah syndrome. What you say is right. Anybody who disagrees with you should be lynched. They should be condemned. And that is why they are calling people tokonias. They are calling people traitors. They are calling people who are supposed to be exercising their democratic right within the Mount Kenya region, that they should be dealt with like snake eggs. What kind of politics? I want them to come with a plan and a vision for Kenya and tell us, this is what we want to do.
Linda,
for the people of Kenya. This is wrong.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you.
This is wrong.
I'll come
it
to you.
is gangster-style politics that
Hold
is
it,
being
hold it,
introduced
hold
by
it,
the
hold it.
opposition.
And
we are awake.
Before Wanjiko comes in, Wanjiko, before you come in, I really do not have a problem with the united opposition as a Kenyan, at least as at now, because I did not go to the ballot to elect them. My biggest problem would be with the performance of government, how they carry themselves, how the president carries himself. And therefore, Ngunjiri, I will ask this question. Is there trouble in paradise, in the government that we expect to carry the day, we expect to run the activities of the nation. Why is it that there seems to be a lot of turbulence herein? And by turbulence, I'll just take an example. And let's listen into this story about Ruto and Kindiki. And we're being told that, well, the relationship between the president and his deputy is intact, is good, and all that. But that does not seem to be the case. We would want to overlook that, but remembering what happened in the Jubilee government and what happened in the UDA government until our deputy president was impeached, it becomes difficult to ignore this crisis. Let's listen into that.
A quiet meeting held behind closed doors is now dominating Kenya's political conversation. Late Wednesday night, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki released photographs showing himself in an extended one-on-one meeting with President William Ruto at State House in Nairobi. The images were posted without a caption, leaving Kenyans to draw their own conclusions. The timing of the meeting immediately attracted attention. For days, speculation had swirled over an alleged cooling of relations between the president and his deputy, following reports that some coordination functions had been transferred from the deputy president's office to the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi. Kindiki, however, dismissed the reports as fake news.
And so what Ruto has done is to finish Kindiki politically. You know, fine, he has earned the title, Your Excellency, and, you know, Deputy President, but he has finished him politically.
Even after the release of the photographs, one detail has continued to fuel a political debate. The images were shared only through Kindiki's official social media platforms, while State House and the presidency neither published the photographs nor issued a statement explaining the purpose of the meeting or what was discussed.
And there is an advantage to that in most controversial times, like now, when the country is polarized between those who want Ruto to have 10 years and those who cannot wait for 10th of August 2027, then where is Kindiki in this? He seems squarely in Ruto's corner. And that now turns him more into a Kamotho than into a Kibaki.
To supporters, the photographs portray a leadership team working in close consultation. Critics, however, argue that the absence of an official communication from the presidency leaves room for continued speculation over the state of relations within the executive.
He has actually become the #1 spokesperson on the government's development agenda and plans.
He has clearly defined in very uncertain times who is a deputy president, because he has shown he's an assistant, he's a principal assistant to the president.
One wasn't expecting to see anything much out of Professor Kindiki. He came as a lightweight. He still remains as a lightweight. He spent his time around Gachagua, trying to undo what Gachagua is doing. The difference is that Gachagua is fairly entrenched politically.
The meeting also came just hours before President William Ruto's highly anticipated national address on Kenya's future, further heightening public interest on what may have been discussed. The developments come as Professor Kindiki intensifies his political engagements in his Mount Kenya East stronghold. In recent weeks, the deputy president has made frequent visits to Tharaka Nithi and neighboring Meru County, meeting grassroots leaders, launching development projects, and reinforcing his political presence in a region widely regarded as his traditional support base.
Kindiki has been able to balance two things. He's been able to play politics benefiting the mountain without necessarily seeming to do it.
As Nelson Mandela once told us, all politics is local. If you are not local in your politics, then you are totally irrelevant.
The increased engagements have drawn attention at a time when succession politics and regional influence within the Kenya Kwanza coalition are increasingly shaping political discourse ahead of the 2027 general election.
Kiti ya naibu wa rais iwezi toka, hatuwezi nyang'anywa na mtu yoyote. kiti ya naibu ya rais ambao Profesa Kindiki amekalia, nobody can touch us.
Whether Wednesday night's meeting was a routine government business or a calculated effort to dispel growing political speculation remains unclear. With neither State House nor the Deputy President's office providing an official account of the meeting, questions over the dynamics at the highest levels of the government continue to linger. For now, the images may have projected a unity between the country's two top leaders, but without an official explanation of what transpired behind the closed doors, Kenya's political class is likely to continue reading between the lines. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
But Jared, your party seems to be on a mission to tunya that seat from the mountain. I want you to respond to that, but you evidently are seeing what is happening. We all are concerned about the performance of the government and the relationships they are in. Does this threaten the Mount Kenya region politics?
No, no. Mount Kenya region politics is locked. You know, evidenced by the Olkalou by-elections, even with the about 10 to 15 billion investment, we've shown that cash drops are not going to change the reality. We've seen a lot of intensified effort by government to split. First, it started with Kiambu, to split Kiambu from Kiambu East and Kiambu West, which we refused. It was dead on arrival, and now it has gone to Mount Kenya, East and West. And is to say that this is a pattern that we've seen. We saw what it happened with His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. Now it's happening to Kindiki. And Rigathi Gachagua has told Kindiki, yes, you danced on my grave, and now the cock has come to crow. But should anything happen to you, welcome back home. We are holding you still. Okay. The mountain is not going to be divided. We are going to speak in one language, and we've decided so. And it also goes to the effort of the extent to the united opposition government. What you are seeing is that 2002 moment coming to life again. We are all going to unite against this regime, and we are going to take it home. We continue to evaluate the 2022 promises that Kenya Kwanza gave, you know, to voters and they were heavily voted in because and it is the better manifesto is it's a brilliant manifesto. I wish Ngonjiri would advise his president to actually implement it because it would have truly transformed Kenya. But let that be the last time Ngonjiri you advise us as united opposition government what to do. Because you have the job to go and advise president on how to fix unemployment. So many young people are unemployed, and that's why they are falling prey to gun politics. And you know, at the end of the day, they'll become criminals. They'll have criminal records. So when we come into government in 2027, you know, it will be a quagmire. How do we pardon, you know, young people who have also caused chaos and harm? So they need to do that. But moving to 2027, united opposition government, we have the sensitive job of coalition building. We have a lot of, you know, key players who are all, you know, bringing so much to the table. Right. So it is a sensitive job, and that's what is on the table right now.
Factors that might not necessarily align to the vision, if you have any?
So far, no. We all are on one goal.
Okay, fair
that
enough.
Ruto must go.
Jared, I know you want to say something, but why don't you allow Ngunjiri to say something? Ngunjiri, not in reaction to what she says, but basically, is there trouble in paradise? What do you feel about the relationship between, and the dalliance and the relationship within the broad-based government? We want to hear what this gentleman has to say.
Just a second for me to say what we are doing to create jobs to the young people.
You know, we don't have time.
Please don't say
We are creating 1 million jobs. One, through the housing program. Number two, we have employed 100,000 teachers, records, and amongst those teachers, we have a huge chunk that is for
recently the president said there's going to be more.
And there is more coming, another 20,000 coming. But coming to that point, there is a lot of desperation from the opposition side. You know, in our culture in the Agikuyu
opposition or ODM?
Opposition side. A story is told of someone who went, or rather a hyena that followed a man, walking
hands,
and looks at the arm and thinks that the arm is going to fall down and the hyena would feast on it. What you are hearing as the creation of, led by one Rigathi Gachagua, trying to present himself as one who is talking on behalf of Kindiki, saying, oh, this is our son, he's being mistreated, with the hope that Kindiki and everybody else is going to listen to his narrative. This is...
But forget Rigathi Gachagua.
No. Let me tell you the origin of this. So you can see a consistent narrative from the opposition side, and especially DCP. You've seen the senator of Muranga in that clip. Rigathi Gachagua, I saw Wanjiku Muhia yesterday talking about the same thing. So it's a very deliberate script by that side to try and rock within government so that there can be a narrative that Professor Kithure Kindiki is being mistreated. There are some things he's being denied. IBEC, the role of IBEC, even when William Ruto was denied an opportunity to be an active player in government before 2022 by Uhuru Kenyatta, he still had the opportunity to chair IBEC. There is no, and I want to say on record, there is nobody, whether a cabinet secretary or a cabinet minister or anybody else below the president, that can assign the role of chairing IBEC to the deputy president. That is a role that is attached to that office. And the hula baloos that you're hearing about, some conversation, Kindiki, that is a creation and a propaganda that is coming from the opposition side.
Hold it.
But them are the ones who
hold it. Let's invite Jared, and we'll come back to you. Jared, do you think, or do you, from within, see these things that the people are seeing from outside, that perhaps the boat is not rocking good for Kindiki? And could it be because of this declaration by ODM that they must get a deputy president, because they are clear that they are not going for the presidency, but it has to be a 50-50 affair, if not a 70-30?
Thank you very much, Linda. I think where we are and where we're coming from, it's also good to set records straight. That 2027, we are looking forward to vote for, not against. And that's why we are insisting that give us the issues and the principles that you're going to implement to Kenyans. And when our party leader, Dr. Oborogi Odinga, I've addressed on the coalition build-up that we are having with the UDA party, there's one thing that came out clear from Daktari for the first time in history of our lifetime, that we want to build a coalition where we are agreeing on principles, on ideals and issues, and not positions. And that was, I think it's one of the uniquest political conversation that parties are having today in Kenya. Number two, on the coalition build-up, ODM as a party, I think we have been having broad-based arrangement, and we all know that it was not officiated politically, and the talk is already there. And from the party, I think there are processes of forming a coalition. And the process from ODM, the party leader, and the Central Management Committee of the party will form a committee that will be in talk with UDA and other sister political parties who we may form a coalition with. I think thereafter, as a party, we'll have what we call National Delegate Convention, where we will present a candidate for the presidency. And the presidency, when we say it, we are insisting, when the DPL Simbarati talked about this, that as a party, and the numbers we're going to bring forth, what William Ruto needs for his election is not just a mere number to win. We want him to win with a landslide if we will form a coalition with him. And it's very clear that ODM is capable of doing that. And that's why we're saying that we must be part of presidency. If you're not going to run for president, a party, an institution that we are having, we're not talking about regional. We're not talking about maybe a tribe. We're talking of an institution that cuts across the nation. ODM says that we must be part of the presidency.
That is the deputy president.
Exactly.
Automatically.
It's not automatic. It's a conversation. What if?
At least from what I hear, It is not even
on
a
the 50-50, no, on the
They're pushing out
50-50,
Kindiki.
on the 50-50 again, it's not only on the deputy president. We have the heads of the parastatals, we have the PSS positions, we have the CSS positions. These are conversations that we will sit down with the UDA party and agree. Number 3, where we are sitting in here, we from our youth leagues, he will tell you that we're also having a conversation as young people. We are also getting involved in this conversation. We have a caucus, that's Umoja wa Vijana Kenya.
Yeah.
We have the young people from these political parties who are aligned to the broad base, also having a conversation. We are not going to be locked out from this conversation, where maybe the party principles are the only people on the table. We from our political parties, youth leagues, we also not demanding, but we want to be part and parcel of the formation come 2027, and the voice and the concerns of our generation and our colleagues, our young people that we are leading from our leagues, are also getting attached to this conversation. So it's not just maybe the 50-50 that is on the top. I think there's something interesting when the UDA and Kenya Kwanza had campaigns then, the bottom-up. We want that bottom-up conversation on ideals, not only maybe on the implementation. Can that young man in the university get our thoughts, be part of the conversation that we are going to have in 2027? So it is a process as well.
All right, interesting. Interesting slogans, Ngunjiri. Briefly, tunataka power, no two ways to eat. It is the presidency. We have got to be part of the presidency. We are not going for the president position. Automatically we want the deputy. Can we comfortably trust what Jared is saying, that this is a conversation based on issues, based on, just taking the nation ahead, and sio conversation ya tunataka power? And how does it make Kindiki feel when he sees this?
There is nothing wrong in our broad-based partners.
Okay.
What they want, and being even more ambitious.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with ambition. And as UDA, because I come from the UDA party, and on behalf of the young people of the UDA party, I have already pronounced my position and said that the presidential candidate for UDA is William Ruto, and the deputy president slot is for Professor Kindiki. That hasn't changed, but because that is a conversation that maybe at some point could be put on the table, and the principals from ODM and UDA will have that discussion. Whatever they agree, all of us will align on that angle. But as a party, we already have a presidential candidate and we have a running mate.
Yes. The mountain?
Mount Kenya region. Professor Kindiki comes from the Mount Kenya region. You see, I want to tell you this. There is a notion that has been going on in these circles of politics, especially by one toxic personality called Rigathi. He's been trying to rock the boat in government by coming out with very outrageous claims that Professor Kindiki is being victimized, is not respected in government. I want to tell them that as we speak, the president of Kenya has been quoted on record as having said that he has not had such a fantastic stretch since he became president, like a time working
being deputized by Kindiki.
Because Kindiki is sharp and has a finesse of how government is supposed to be run. The other person, Rigathi Gachagua, had no clue of how a government is supposed to be run. He spent a lot of his time creating rumor mongering, undermining young leaders.
So what do I hear you say?
So Kindiki has
without
brought some peace, and he has like the word I used is finesse. He has brought some precision to how government policy is supposed to be actualized.
Without focusing on the persona of Rigathi Gachagua, then I hear you say exactly what it is that Wanjiko said, that Mulima knows that they will eat the money, but they know where to vote.
The conversation started in Olkalau.
Mulima is intact.
Let me tell you, and this is a conversation
He's talking
that
too much. He's having too much.
I want to be honest to Kenyans. Olkalau, because I was there, the opposition people, and this is very dangerous, on the morning of voting, there was a release of some youth, 70 in each polling center.
Where was the government which was supposed to guarantee?
Let me come to it.
And they had even deployed 2,000 police officers.
Let me come to it. So what they did, the night preceding that election, they went round the constituency, and this has been reported to the police. They had written some letters.
We haven't seen those letters.
I have them here. I can actually show you.
So
they had written some letters. Those letters, the content that was in them read that we know you. And this is a message to people who were supporting the government. I can actually interpret, but it's written in Kikuyu, that we know you, and we know your children and everybody that is of your offspring. We have observed your ways, and you are one of the people who is selling us to our enemy. We want to warn you that if you continue with this trend, don't blame it on us that we never told you. We are going to deal with you.
If there was a sort of fraud from opposition.
It is signed off, Jeshi Arure, and even in some homesteads, someone had the audacity of slaughtering a goat, taking that blood and marking the dog.
So you want to say that is what warranted such humongous difference in terms of
you know, they are trying to look for anything, any excuse whatsoever. They can't believe that.
What they did in Mount Kenya, let me tell you, because I live there and I come from that place. What they did, they know the tactics that used to be used by an outlawed sect there.
Linda, this is government not really accepting their reality.
Let me make that clear.
Kenya have moved
those
away
tactics
from them.
Of marking people's doors, dropping letters, whatever that were used by the outlawed sect.
Security.
There were 2,000 police officers.
We actually reported that. We actually reported that.
And you considered
that will have happened to
Yes, we did.
To mean that they won fair and square?
No. Listen, they never won fairly and squarely.
Oh my God.
Again.
Number two.
That did not.
That is intimidation. Number two.
Let's listen to
Imagine 15 billion investment
as a party, that was not our position. It belonged to the Jubilee Party. We only came in to contest in 2022.
A serious politician cannot argue that way.
In 2022,
you can't. Actually, we know the interest.
We lost that seat to Jubilee Party.
Okay.
Despite us winning all the other positions in the Mount Kenya region. So Olkalau and Kinango.
Why did you put up a fight, a strong fight?
In fact, the investment of the money they did.
That is the business of a political party, to win power and win elections.
Fair enough.
And
let's
then
listen into this, this quick bite from Aisha Jumwa. And you tell us, why is it that this ship continues to...
Linda, you're giving him too much time.
No, not him.
No,
not
stop
him.
complaining.
By saying you tell us, I mean everybody on set. I do not mean Ngunjiri. I would have easily called his name.
Good.
So yes, let's listen into Aisha Jumwa.
After deep reflection, heartfelt prayer, and countless consultations with the people I serve, I have made one of the most difficult decisions of my political life. From today, Aisha Jumwa Karisa Katana is no longer a member of the United Democratic Alliance, UDA. This decision is not an act of anger. It is an act of conscience. It is a decision born out of love for Kilifi, faith in its people, and unshakable belief that our county deserves leadership that listens, serves, and delivers.
All right. I want to react. I mean, it's also important that we give the people back at home a chance. Ngunjiri, this is for you. Bari Peter, umepokea Kenya shillings 500 kutoka Paul Master Limited kwa niaba ya Moshina. Hizi ni pesa za nauli. Transport Moshina anakushukuru kwa kumuunga mkono na anaomba ujitokeze kupiga. Is there anyone who has the capability to point a finger on what played out in Olkalau? I'm not asking you to respond. That was just a response from somebody. And I know that one we can talk about until the cows come back home. Muko na space ya Aisha Jumwa uko opposition?
Yes. And we've seen what Aisha Jumwa has done. If we listen to her, her decision was participatory. huyu ni mtu anasikiza ground. And she was alive to the fact people told her, you know, this is, you need to move. And one thing, and we've seen this regime is notorious for, is not rewarding people who are loyal to them. We've seen they impeached His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, who blocked the mountain for them.
Okay.
They also they removed Gloria Oroba. We see
unfairly, you think?
Yes,
for all these people?
It was unfair.
Okay.
She worked for the party. She deserved to serve 5 years. Okay. She deserved to serve 5 years. Aisha Jumwa, she really fought for UDA in court.
Got a position and as CS.
And she was removed.
And later on another position?
Yes, and still, you must stay loyal to the people who have fought for you.
At the expense of the common mwananchi?
No, it's not at the expense of common mwananchi.
If you're not
at the end of the day, it's not at the expense of common mwananchi. You must be able to strike a balance because this is politics. At the end of the day, politics delivers for you.
Okay.
So to say, we are going to see a lot of defections. And this is why I'm telling Konjiri, they are really blind to the ground. And we love the fact that they really don't listen to the ground. The, citizens of Kenya have already decided. Ruto is going for 1 term. And everybody else understands this reality. And people who want to see Kenya transform and move progressively is going to move to united opposition because we have a rallying call of resetting Kenya. And that's where the ground is, that's where it's at, and that's where politicians who also want to win will move to political parties that will serve them.
Okay.
DCP is a national political party. We have won 4 seats thus far. So, and it's among the strongest political party we have, and we accept people coming in. This is a political home of courageous young people and also senior people.
Apart
like
from
us.
one, is it a member of parliament that your party leader says they cannot accommodate?
Because of what they've done to us.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
There are people who've already marked. Let me tell you one thing. We are very sensitive about people who betray communities, who betray a rallying call. You see, public participation was done, and we said do not impeach Rigathi Gachagua. They went ahead and did that. Public participation was done about the finance bill. We said do not vote yes. They went ahead and did that. So for us...
And that's a betrayal of a community?
And citizens, because it was actually across the country.
All right, I want us to shelve it at that and come to you. You must be worried because you cannot sit pretty and look at one person go, another one go, another one go, yet you intend to win an election come 2027.
Linda, Aisha Jumwa is I'll say a funny character, if I may quote. She was in ODM, and I think when she was the women rep, she won an ODM ticket. Then she jumped to UDA, and this gives the kind of politicians that we are having. Some of them are not principled, and I think for her this is a wild chase that she can't. What does she want? In Kilifi, the Governor Mung'aro, that's our ODM zone. Even Aisha Jumwa comes with I don't know the party will come with or organization. Mung'aro or in Kilifi, it remains an orange zone. We must also live to the fact that these political parties are institutions that we must respect them. We must be disciplined, and we must also honor and be loyal to these political parties. Aisha Jumwa was awarded the CS position. Later I think she was given chairperson of one of the parastatals in the country. I think for that, she ought to have been grateful to the party that gave her that opportunity. We must also live to the fact that these are political appointments. If maybe you feel you fail to deliver, they will ask her that why is she moving from 2021 to 2026 in that such a short period. She have moved to 2 political parties. We are looking forward into our generation. We need to have politicians and leaders who are disciplined to the institutions that they have built. If she really and truly believed in the UDA agenda and manifesto, at some point some of us say, even if I'm redeployed to just be a member, I'll still remain servant to this institution and to serve the country. Number 3, this also shows how selfish our political class have turned to be.
Right.
It is all on a political expediency for her. And it's also unfortunate because all this she was talking and putting forward, it's all about Aisha Jumwa, not what Kilifi. Because again, we'll ask her a tough question. She's saying that maybe she may move into another party or another movement that she didn't come out clear.
As a sum it up,
Yeah, as a sum it up. For us, it's a bad taste in our political space, which at some point we'll say it's unfortunate. As she was quoting maybe Oruba as well. When Oruba left UDA, when she left UDA, then called for disciplinary action and so on, she's a member of a political party, and she's a leader in the youth wing of that political party. All the members of that wing to be very disciplined members of the organization.
Okay. I can only give you 30 seconds, Ngujiri, to close it and sum it up for us.
Well, I guess it is a good place to say that the president has set the mood for the country, and we need to refresh our thinking and shift a mindset, sort of saying, let us have a paradigm shift now from the Yester plan and look forward. We look forward, by the way, to next week on Wednesday.
Right.
And this is a conversation about the whole country, even including the opposition. They are very much welcome to provide ideas and have an agenda of what we can do for this country, because this is not about UDA, it's not about the president, it's not about us, it's about the people of Kenya.
Right.
And that is why it's being called a national action plan. So let us limit ourselves to providing solutions for the country that we love.
Fair enough. Thank you so much. We close it at that very point. Kariuki Ngunjiri, National Youth Leader of UDA, as the last speaker. Also Jared Oye, ODM Youth League member, and as well, last but not least, the National Youth Caucus Chairperson, DCP Party, Wanjiku Viga. Ladies and gentlemen, asanteni sana, and massive response from the people who are watching us this morning. We certainly appreciate that you could join us and as well contribute to the conversation. Forgive me if I do not go through the responses that you have given to us, but we truly appreciate. I have to close it at this very point. We get rid of the suits on set. People want to jump to some good vibe. That should be after this short break on TV47 Breakfast. My name is Linda Lela. It was great having you. Asanteni.